Hello everyone, and welcome to another horror movie review time-lapse with me, Angela of Morbid Heart Designs. Today I want to talk about a Netflix series that came out sometime in 2020. I've been wanting to review it and I just haven't gotten around to it. This series did inspire the artwork you see before you, and it just took a really long time to get it done. If you haven't noticed from the thumbnail or the title, this review is on the Haunting of Bly Manor. It is part of an anthology series on Netflix that started with The Haunting of Hill House, which I highly recommend and I did review. There should be an info card popping up about now for you to see that if you are interested. Bly Manor is a series inspired by the book Turning of the Screw. I was a little worried about this coming out in 2020 as the Turning movie was also released in theaters earlier that year based off the same book, so I was wondering how their similar release dates might affect each other. Ultimately, I don't think that they did. Movie theaters, Netflix, I don't feel like there was much. I didn't notice anything anyways. And I was wondering if there would be. So, as a side note, I still haven't read the book, the story, The Turning of the Screw that both of these are based on, so I don't have any basis on how similar or not similar they are. Plot of this movie: after a tragic death, Henry hires a young American nanny to care for his orphaned niece and nephew. This American nanny comes into the house and starts noticing some odd things about the children's behavior. Little did she know the twisted history of the house and how it affected the children. I love this anthology series, but it'll be interesting to see where things go. I feel The Haunting of Hill House really set the bar high. That one was extremely well done. Lots of really good tense horror moments, good characters, like brilliant. I highly recommend that season. And going into this, I expected The Haunting of Bly Manor to be more along the lines of Hill House. And as many of you may already know, it definitely was not. It had a very different narration of the story, different cinematography. It was brilliant in its own ways, I won't deny that, but I wouldn't put this as a horror movie. It's definitely a romance, drama, mystery to me. I don't feel there was very strong horror elements. I do consider this along the lines of gothic romance, as you've got your ghost story that goes along with some romantic aspects. The first few episodes, I think about 4, are super slow. I had a hard time staying engaged as they developed the characters, but by the end, the character development that we saw I felt was important to see. I did push through, and I am glad I did. The last 2 episodes were really amazing. I loved the last 2 episodes, and everything built up for you to understand a little bit more. However, I do feel like those last episodes could have been just their own story and more well received than this series was overall. As I mentioned, I don't consider this a horror. There's really very little horror in it. In addition to the slow start, I wasn't feeling the characters at the beginning when they were introduced. I did enjoy the characters' story and change overall by the end of the series, but I never fully connected or 100% cared about any character in this show. Speaking of the characters, we can talk about the actors briefly. I do feel the actors did a decent job. The only performance I fully liked was Rahul Kali. Everybody else, just something felt missing, slightly flat, and I don't know if that was more of director guidance because it was so many characters who felt that way. To me, I don't know, I'm torn because it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't amazing either. Side note there, apparently critics disagree with me and others that I've seen review this throughout the year. Tania Miller, who is Mrs. Gross, and Victoria Pedretti did receive nominations for their acting in it. The series also did receive a nomination for Best Horror at the Critics' Choice Super Award. I just don't I don't know. I don't think it was worthy of a nomination, but I'm not a real critic. I just am a YouTuber who does art and talks about movies. Things I did like about this movie, I really did enjoy the cinematography. I enjoyed the narration style that developed towards the end. I feel like there was a shift in narration style slowly through the series, and by the end it was mostly narrative, which was an interesting shift. There was some good use of detail that connected things throughout the plot, but the detail that they focused on also added a level of predictability. I will say the house set in this is utterly amazing. I don't know if I'd want to live there. It's a little big for my tastes, but it was gorgeous. Gorgeous property, gorgeous house. I think they did good. I think the costumes were well done as well. Overall, I feel like I have a love-hate relationship with this series. Because of that love-hate and tornness that I did experience, I am only gonna give it 3 Zombievers out of 3. It wasn't amazing, it wasn't great. I'll give it 4, because it wasn't mediocre either. I'll give it 4 Zombievers out of 5. Moral of the story: don't fuck with ghosts. Stay out of ghost ways. They might kill you. So there you have my thoughts on The Haunting of Bly Manor. I absolutely love how much this did inspire me to do this piece. I had so much fun thinking it through, playing around with concepts of it, designing it. I thoroughly love this piece. I just haven't really been able to share it with anyone yet. And I'm excited I finally got to share it with you guys. So I hope you have enjoyed it. Thank you as always to my patrons. And with all that being said, from my dark heart to yours, have a wonderful day, and please don't die before my next video.